more I knew about how extensive your relationship was with Jesus, and how much you actually value that in your life, and how much that was like all bodies of water flow from one body of water, right? And so the fact that her main body of water was Jesus, and everything else in her life flowed from that, made me more confident in the choice that I was making.
Hello, welcome to another episode of With Tolua. I'm really excited to share with you my conversation with Sabrina and Tommy, as they are the first couple that I've spoken to who met completely online, going from strangers to dating and eventually married. Now, for people who have had experiences with online dating, you may be wondering how does someone actually meet someone that ends up being their life partner? Well, I hope you come along with me on this journey, hear Sabrina and Tommy's story, and most especially the echoes of intentionality, faith, and trust that I think really characterizes your relationship. And I hope you're blessed by it. Okay, guys.
Hello.
Would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us how long you've been married for?
Sure. You want to start?
Yeah.
So my name is Tommy, and this is Sabrina. We've been married for just over 6 months now.
Wow. How's the first 6 months of marriage been?
Good.
It's been good.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, lots of learning, but also a lot of fun. We really enjoy the fact that we can just kind of come home and we see each other every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
It's like a never-ending sleepover with your best friend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so cute. Okay. I want to hear more about the learnings that you talked about, but I'm curious, how long has it been since you've known each other?
3, 4 years?
Yeah, we met early 2021.
We met 4 years ago. No.
I can't do the math.
2021 January.
2, 3,
3 years?
4. 3 and a
4
bit.
Januaries.
3 and a bit. Tommy likes
We've
to.
known each other for 4 Januaries. I love that. How did you guys meet?
We met online. Oh, sorry. Were you gonna tell a different story?
No.
Is it a different story?
It's the same
Different
story.
versions? Okay. How about I hear your version and then we get to Tommy's version?
It's the same version.
Same version.
Same version.
Yeah, we met. So it was the middle of the pandemic when we met. 2021. We had both come out of other relationships and decided to give online dating a try. And so we were on a website called Christian Dating for Free.
I thought it stood for Christian Dating for Friends, which made no sense.
Wait, the site is actually Christian Dating for free.
For free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I thought because the acronym is CDFF.
Oh.
So I didn't think about what it stood for, so I was
yeah.
like, Christian Dating for Friends. I was like, it doesn't make sense.
Make friends and then they become couples, you know.
Yeah.
It was
did
a
you hear
really
about the site? Yeah.
cringy site.
I know, I've never heard of it
It's
before.
so bad.
There's not. So one of the things we can now talk to people about is online dating for Christians. It's not. There aren't that many good options. Everyone talks about Christian Mingle, but I think you maybe have to pay for it.
I think so.
But I don't. Did you ever try it? I don't think I did. No. So there was maybe one other Christian dating site called Upward or something.
It's called FTH before. now it's called
FTH.
Upward,
Yeah, and that one was a swipe one, and you couldn't filter by location, and it was just challenging. And then I guess we both found the CDFF one.
How?
We always joke it.
Do you
I
remember?
think we just looked up
Christian dating
apps.
site.
Yeah.
and we joked that it's like MSN on steroids because it was just so cringy.
that-
Oh,
Actually,
the UI?
It's so
was horrible.
bad. I had to send a wink to her,
Uh-huh.
and then it would crash. And then she would send a wink back.
And it would crash.
And then I would press on her profile, and then it would go to her photo instead. And it would just be
Yeah, it
very,
was
very
bad.
messy. Yeah.
But God made a way.
I know, through the wilderness, literally. The technology wilderness. Okay.
Yeah. So we started chatting on the app, and then we took it on to WhatsApp, I
Very
think.
quickly, yeah.
And very quickly he asked to go out with me, and at the time I was nervous about meeting with people in person, but for whatever reason I felt very comfortable with him. We sent each other videos so we knew we weren't catfish,
And
voice
voice notes too.
Yeah, voice notes.
Yeah.
So we hung out within a week, and then
We met on the Monday, I think.
we were talking the app on the
Yeah,
Monday.
and we met on the Saturday.
Yeah.
So it was 6 days after.
Same week.
How long were you on the app site for?
2 days.
Before? 2 days.
With each other, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You also just downloaded the app.
I just downloaded it.
Oh, he went on, found me, got off.
I know, because I was gonna ask, I was like, okay, so you were on it for 2 days.
Yeah.
What made you, did you talk to a lot of people? How did you...
To be honest, I remember I liked like 3 profiles, and she was the one that matched immediately. Because I guess she already saw mine at that point.
But I reached out to you first. Yeah.
So,
you did.
So I winked at her.
He winked.
And then she winked at me, and then like I just didn't do anything. And then so she messaged me, and then.
Because I saw that he clearly on his profile talked about Jesus and his love for the Lord.
I was gonna say.
And it's so rare to find genuine Christians online.
See what I put though. In my
bio. You were like, I want someone to geek out around Bible highlighters with me or something.
My Bible's all like
highlighted.
Yeah. I like
this guy's a nerd, but he's cute. Yeah.
Oh, so that was what made you attracted to his profile.
Yeah, he was very evidently a Christian in the way he was speaking, and he was attractive from his picture, and like I think you had talked about things that are important to you. And it's hard with online dating, like I think both of us are very genuine people, so we're not just there to fool around. We really want like something long term. Yeah. So you very quickly can kind of tell who's there for the jokes and who's like
serious.
Yeah. And even when we started talking, he was asking me lots of great intentional questions. A lot about faith up front, because I think both of us were like, if you don't love Jesus, I'm not here.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think like both of us have had experiences too, where like our past relationships. I think especially on my side, where like you meet people who are in the faith but not really in the faith. Or like they lie and pretend to be in the faith because they like you and they want to seem more palatable to you. So I think even before this site, we both took some time off from dating, and then we went back on the sites. So,
it worked out.
Okay, wait. There was a question I had in mind. While I'm trying to remember it, what was your first impression of Sabrina's profile? What was it?
I thought she was gorgeous.
Send a wig. He's like, oh, this beautiful woman. Yes.
Well, I remember her profile photo was her in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I still remember that. You were wearing like a red shirt or something. You were in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
And I thought she was so beautiful. I'm like, wow, like I really hope that she loves Jesus. And then like we started to like talk, and I think as I got to speak to her, I was like, wow, like I can tell that she's not just a flighty girl. Like, oh my gosh, like tell me all about it. You know, like she's very like serious, but also like loves Jesus and it's fun. And I could tell she was adventurous because she like had the picture of France and she likes traveling, and I was like.
That's my cat.
Yeah.
That's my time. Oh yeah, I think that reminded me of the question I had. You said he asked like very serious, intentional questions. What kind of questions do you remember?
That's really what kind of questions? Because I forget.
I wouldn't be able to remember the exact ones, but I feel like you were asking me about. Well, I think we shared a bit of our testimonies over messaging, and then we were like, let's just save it for when we meet, kind of thing. I think you asked about my family, like my family situation, about my work. I think at the time I was in my master's, so he was curious about what I was studying and why I was interested in that. I'm trying to think what else. Culture. Oh, you were really interested in the fact that I was Egyptian.
Right.
I think we talked a lot about culture.
Culture. Family.
Yeah, because he's always been interested in like Middle Eastern culture, so that was interesting. Yeah, faith, culture, family, work.
The major
I don't know if
points.
there's anything else you can remember. I think we did talk about marriage too, or like.
I don't know.
Just the idea of like, you know, what are you looking for on here, kind of thing.
Like, what are your intentions, kind of thing?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. I think so.
I'm curious about that. Did you both have like while you were asking those questions? Did you have like some sort of checklist, or
I think
were you just like? And I know it's like a box, like okay, tick, 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 or was it kind of like let me just see?
Well, like
how this
I
goes?
think over the years of dating, you kind of build a mental checklist of what you want and don't want. So like. It's not like, you know, as funny as this to say, like, I don't think I actually had, like, a cool board meal. Like, okay, she has 13 out of 16, you know?
Yeah.
But I think she definitely, from the get-go, already ticked a lot of boxes for me.
Mentally,
Yeah, like, mental boxes. I think she passed pretty quickly for me. I'm like, okay, she's this. I'm like, okay, well, there's no reason for me not to go out with her. Like, I want to know more about her. I think on our first date, we learned a lot about each other. It was a long first date, like 10 hours long.
10 hours?
Yeah.
Of just talking?
And it was the middle of the pandemic, so we couldn't go anywhere. We were outdoors, middle
bathrooms.
of January. No bathrooms,
Oh my god, were you like in a park?
We were downtown next to the CN Tower is where we met.
Wow, 10 hours outside in January.
Yeah.
It was horrible weather-wise, but we were just enjoying ourselves so much.
Like we both actually prayed together, we cried together, we talked about family trauma.
The first date?
Yeah.
Wow.
Talked about family trauma, we talked about marriage, we talked about like what you want in life, we talked about work,
A lot of laughter.
A lot of laughter.
Yeah. Because Tommy's like a really kind and like fun person. And I think I tend to be more serious. And I feel like, but when we were together, like he really brought out that fun side of me.
Likewise.
But he's also very intellectual and deep, so we were able to go into like the deeper stuff. So I felt like that date we just covered all of the emotions, all of
The serious ones, the fun ones.
Yeah. And like we were attracted to each other pretty quickly. It's like when I first saw him, I was like, dang, this guy's like really hot. So I think that like we enjoyed being around each other. Attraction's important. I don't think people talk about that enough. Like obviously there's a level of surface to it, but I think you also want to be attracted to the person you're with. So I think that was a quick like check mark.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think you mentioned, did you have a checklist or?
It's kind of like a mental, a mental one.
Yeah.
I think obviously I wanted someone who genuinely loved the Lord, but I think even beyond that, someone who was passionate about outreach and evangelism, because that's been a ministry that I've been very passionate about in life and I see God leading me in, and so I wanted to hopefully meet someone who we could do that together. Not someone who'd be like, you go do your thing sharing the gospel and I'll be here. And then, because to me there's also, when you love the Lord, you want to share. And I saw that in him, in his love for the Lord, but also like his career choice. Tommy is in law enforcement and I'm in social work or like healthcare, and so I think we both also love people and we really want to love people in our career choices but also in our personal life. So that to me was another thing, someone whose heart is toward others. So that was a checkmark thing. I think family was an interesting one too, like someone who comes from a family where like we could integrate or at least feel a sense of similarity.
But someone also values family too.
Values family.
Because there's so many people who are just independent and they don't really care about their family at all. And it's like, well, like I don't spend time with them, I don't like them, I don't love them. Like they're just kind of like in this little box over there, and I'll do my thing over here. Whereas like for me growing up, like I'm born here, but I very much act like an immigrant.
Yeah.
And so like,
In what way?
the Croatian culture is very
patriotic.
Patriotic is the right word. So like every Croatian here, because I'm first generation, we're so patriotic to be Croatian. So all of us, like, I went to Saturday school to speak the Croatian language. All my friends were only Croatian. So like you grew up almost as if you're actually like from Croatia.
Yeah.
So I think for me,
he calls it back home.
Yeah, like back home. So like I think ever since then, like it's like a sense of community, and like I saw how much that they valued family and culture and how it's so important. So I didn't want somebody who is sort of blank on that part. I wanted someone who also valued their culture and valued their background and where they come from, and also like important family ties. And I saw that in her. Like she's Egyptian and Lebanese, but she also very much like has parents who are she's first generation. So same like me, same kind of story, right? So she has like close ties to her culture, and her family is like very important to her, right?
Yeah. So we're hearing some of those big like checklist items, like love for God, love for people, value family, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think also like because I think there's people too that you have similar values, but you're just very different people.
Okay.
But I think like personality wise, we got along, and I think that like I just felt naturally there was conversation came naturally. We're both very like active people, we like to be outdoors, we're both like open-minded to things. So I think even apart from like deep-rooted values, the personality and the habits and the hobbies stuff that came out a bit like as we got to know each other. Like not like our hobbies I would say are different, but I think our personalities are in a place where
I was gonna say like, all the other couples I talked to we're very different. But we have similar values.
Our hobbies
are different.
Are 180. But I think like in a sense that we both enjoy quality time.
We have together. There's things that are common.
So like I believe it's healthy too that like not everything you guys want to do separately you have to do together. Like for me, I love fishing. Right? Maybe she doesn't
love fishing.
She would go with me.
I'll go.
But it's not her favorite thing in the world, right? But I don't have to force her to come fishing with me to feel like we have quality time together, right? Like sometimes just being at home with her, watching a movie or something, it's like nice to spend time together. But it's good to also have, I think, your own individual hobbies to find your way to decompress from your day. I like video games too, right? So sometimes just an hour of video games can reset me, and I'm good to go, right? Or like spending time alone in scripture, or spending time outside in the woods, just on a hike or fishing. It kind of resets me, because my job is a lot of front facing. It's very
people time,
like a lot of people time every day. I think it's helpful to have, if you notice, a lot of my hobbies are individual hobbies.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I like to decompress and speak to God and do things that can just kind of quiet my heart. Because I feel like if I did things that were like partying and clubbing and salsa dancing, I'd be so burnt out. But some of the things that she likes a lot is going to salsa lounges, dancing and stuff, and like more.
Not as much anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but just being out and about, being active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you found that balance in the way you interact with each other, even though you have different interests and hobbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think what I was saying was more of like, there's enough similarities that we have common ground. I think sometimes couples are very different and it still works out, but what I've appreciated about us is that I don't feel like we're so different that it's a hard thing for us to find a common ground. Like I feel like there were just many parts of life and our personalities that just, it was easy in a sense. It felt natural, but there's still a lot that we have to work on and we have worked on. So it's a bit of like, there's common ground and then there's still things that are so different where you have to like try to meet in the middle. Yeah.
That's fair. Because you like both grew up independently and like live your lives, right?
Yeah.
And then trying to merge that together cannot just be like a walk in the park.
Definitely.
Imagine.
Different kinds of upbringings too. Yeah. And you learn a lot from your parents, you don't really realize. And even
The
now when
habits
we're
you
married, we're learning a lot of things. It's like I didn't realize I'm like this.
Or like even how you like deal with conflict too. That's something we're currently working through as well.
Yeah.
Is like how to fight well.
Yeah.
And so like
Communicate.
you don't realize until you're in those moments what you take from your mom and dad and like how you project what you've been taught subconsciously throughout your life. But it's an active thing that we're like praying on and like working through, and I think it's healthy. Yeah.
We could keep talking.
I know.
Interrupt us.
No. This is exactly what I want. So don't worry about it. But I did have a question because I know that you mentioned that you had dated other people before and you like took some time apart before you decided to join the site. I'm curious to know what your preparation process was like. Like, did you? Actually, I have no specific questions. I'm just curious about what that experience was and how you felt going into the like being intentional about these.
Like preparing to go on sites or to start.
Were you
dating
like,
again?
yes, I want to date again and I feel prepared because I've done X, Y, Z, or what was that?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't think it was like an active preparation, but I do think I learned a lot so I had one longer term relationship before Tommy, and I feel like that was a good opportunity for me to learn about myself, about what is a good fit for me in terms of how God's made me, and also a lot about my own sin and the things in my life that I needed to grow in before I could love and sacrifice for another person. So I'm so glad I had that experience, and I think a lot of people, you learn a lot in your first relationship or like all your relationships. So I think coming out of that, I thought, okay, I now have a better sense of what I need to grow in, and I think God really humbled me and showed me my sin, and that really helped. Because when you date somebody, it's like a mirror into your own soul in a way, and I feel like sometimes dating is a great way to learn about yourself. I wouldn't encourage that to somebody else, but it's
like to
it
date
inevitably happens.
yeah.
But so I think because I got a better sense of myself, then when I was thinking, you know what, I'd like to meet somebody, there was nobody in my life or my current circles that I was interested in. You know, like I'm pretty decently connected, but I just felt like unless I like go hop around churches or like make lots of new friends, I'm probably not gonna meet anyone right now. And I've been praying that God would provide someone in my life, but I'm also like an advocate for the fact that God doesn't just, you know, drop a job or a person into your lap. You have to go out and, you know, pursue. Yeah. And I think of it as like applying for jobs. Like you put yourself out there, and I think dating can be similar. So I thought, you know what, I'll check out who's online. I had several friends who'd met people online that were solid. So I don't know if it was like a checklist in my mind or more of a, you know what, I feel like I acknowledge my weaknesses right now. I know more of what I'm looking for in a partner, and I'm ready to put myself out there kind of thing. And I actually met a few people and went on a few dates before I met Tommy, and that also helped sort of refine things. There's a lot of weirdos online. A lot of weirdos.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so you have to weed
That's a
out.
separate episode.
On the next
Just talking
episode.
about the experience of online dating, I can imagine.
Yeah, so yeah,
What was
those
that?
are my thoughts. I don't know, how was it for you?
I think in the same way, so I was always a hopeless romantic kind of guy looking
Still
for
is.
like, yes, like I was always looking for the one. And I think in my life I've been sort of like a serial dater. I've bounced from like relationship to relationship to relationship, and like she had one long-term relationship. I think I had like 5 or 6, and so it became just really exhausting. And I came to faith in 2017, and after that I started to have a different outlook on relationships. I didn't view them as necessary. It was more like, if God places this person in my life, that's fantastic, but I'm open to a life of singleness. And so I think after my last ex before her, I took that year off because I'm like, I just want to focus on Jesus. And if someone, like if that person is placed along my path, I'll pursue it. But I'm not going to overtly exhaust myself trying to like open every stone and be like, where is she?
Yeah.
You know?
Just the one?
So, or trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that like year or so off between my last relationship and meeting her was good for me to just focus on my relationship with God, understand my worth and how He sees me better, so I can better relay that to my partner. I'm a firm believer that like it's hard to give yourself to someone when you don't know what you have to offer yourself. So being able to actually sit with yourself and say like, you know what, I'm okay to be single the rest of my life because I'm content with what He gives me. I'm content with who I am, and anybody that comes is a plus, right? And so I think that helped me to view our relationship more wholly, because I'm like I see you, and I'm like, this is a great woman, and I want to pursue her. But if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to be depressed, right? It's just it's a thing, right? But I think that made me more open-minded, whereas before I might have tried to like force the narrative. So yeah.
Okay. And so then you guys decided to start dating. Was there a moment where you're like, okay, I think I'm gonna marry this person, or was that
I'll let you
like...
answer first. It's hard because I get strong feelings a lot of the time, and so like I caught feels really quick.
Okay.
But I think me seeing the gradual progression of our love and how much she loved God and how much she was loving me in that moment and how much I felt that I was loving her, I think it was a gradual progression. I don't think there was one aha moment where it was like December, you know, like I think it was more so a gradual moment where I just saw more of her heart, I saw more of her, I saw how we did life together and how we kind of bonded. And I think the more I knew about you, the more I fell in love with you. And the more I knew about how how extensive your relationship was with Jesus, and how much you actually value that in your life, and how much that was like all bodies of water flow from one body of water, right? And so the fact that her main body of water was Jesus, and everything else in her life flowed from that, made me more confident in the choice that I was making. So in the same way, when I asked her to be my girlfriend, I had no qualms or doubt with that, because I knew how much that she loved God, and I knew that if she loved God, she would love me in that same way. And the same way where I felt just really called to just love you so deeply. And I never felt that desire to love anybody that deeply in my life before. So I think feeling that overwhelming sense of like, dang, I love this, you know, like I love this person. It's gradual.
Yeah, I think it was definitely, and you kind of talked about it, like we both were at different places too in terms of how strongly we feel. And it was an interesting experience for me because I feel like, because I grew up in more like conservative Christian circles where dating in a way is kind of taboo, or you have to take it slowly. Whereas Tommy's experience was more, if you like someone, tell them you like them and go for it. And I actually really love that. Like, but a man who's direct as a person. I so appreciated that, because I think people just kind of hop around the idea of like, I like them, I don't know. Tommy's like, I like you. You want to date?
How soon after your first date was this? Was it the first date?
No, well,
the second.
The third date, like within a few weeks of talking.
Date number 4.
We had a whole text conversation. We love to joke about it till like 3 a.m. Basically, he was like, "So how soon after you meet someone are you down to like start dating?" And I think I responded to you saying, you know, a few months to a year.
Yeah. Like,
he probably was like, "Gosh."
So she's like, a few months, like to like a couple of years, and I'm like, a couple of years. I'm like,
that was like,
he's like, give me days.
I was just gonna say weeks, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I was nervous, right? And I was very conservative. I was like, well, I need to like,
time to get to
the
know
typical,
them.
I need to see you in the church.
Different context.
I need to,
see you with your friends.
But then I'm like, how is that gonna happen? I met him online. He doesn't know any of my community. So there's wisdom too. I think God really gave me clarity about you, but I feel like for some scenarios you do have to be careful because he could have been not the person he tells me. I have nothing to validate, right? Yeah, he could have been fake. And like what you said resonates with me too about like I saw the Holy Spirit in you, and that gave me peace.
Yeah.
Like when you would talk about Jesus, I knew you weren't just making stuff up. Like I could see he impacted your life, and that's what gave me peace. Like okay, I don't think he's crazy.
Was it how much I cried over songs? No.
Well, that
So you cried over what?
So
music?
like, I'm a very emotional
Worship.
guy, and so like when certain worship songs come on, I would just cry because I would think about the words and how much that's like meaningful to me and how much that resonates to me. So there'd be times when like we're in the car listening to worship music and I'm like
Volume. And she's like, that's the one. It's so funny.
But I do think that so the dating thing, he asked me very quickly and I was nervous, but I said yes, and I'm so glad because I think like we were just both very mature and ready to go, so we moved very quickly. And I don't know if you remember, we had a conversation a few months in about like marriage.
Yeah.
And we joked about eloping.
Oh yeah.
Because we were like, because
November 13th of that year, I still remember.
Is that when we talked about it or when we wanted to get eloped?
November of that year, we're like next week, let's just find a child and get married.
What was happening that day? Like what inspired that?
I think there was like I'm not sure if it was something with that day, but I think in our lives up until that point, it was like, well, if we're to get married, there's like finances. I was still working part-time and she was just out of school, and it's like, well, we don't have the finances to fund a wedding, or so we thought. And it's like, well, you know what? Let's just go to chapel and get married because we love each other. And so
like I think we felt very confident in one another and in the relationship, and like at that point we'd covered all the big things. Like I felt like we knew what we needed to know at that point, and the rest was just like additional wonderful things. But I think within our first year
we had structure there.
We had a sense that we wanted to be married pretty quickly. And that's why like I actually think when people say when you know, it applied to us.
I mean, you texted your like best friend.
Yeah, how did you know?
After our third date.
No, it was your first date.
First date.
Yeah, you're like, I think I found.
I texted a few people being like, yeah, this guy is like
legit.
I can see it with him. Yeah.
What was it in that first date that made you feel that way? Like, what was different from all the other dates or like relationships?
Tommy's so like I am so blessed because I know that not a lot of men are like you. I felt like just so many things were like wowing me. An emotionally intelligent man. Well, first of all, I'm like,
just stop right there.
Yeah.
What else can you ask for? Right? It's like I'm ready to talk with them.
He was sharing his emotions with me and like telling me about his life. He was very articulate, very deep and passionate and very direct about like as soon as he saw me, he's like, wow, you're beautiful. For a man to say that, and not in a creepy way, like genuine, like I was like, this is a man who knows what he wants. He's aware of his weaknesses and his strengths. He's direct about it. He's intelligent. He's hardworking. He loves Jesus. He loves his family. Like the stuff we were talking about, I was able to see that very quickly. And I was just amazed. I'm like, and we get along really well, and we share similar humor. Like I had a lot of fun. He's attractive. Just like everything. All the boxes, the mental boxes. And so I think just very quickly it was evident that like we are so aligned, and just there was many things I think that were just solidified in my brain, like this guy could be a potential. Unless anything crazy happens, what I'm seeing right now so far is like so amazing. I went home praising God and like telling people, and we started dating very quickly after that.
Day 4.
Worked out well. And then I started to introduce him to my community and my family. And
well, I met your mom and sister like
a month or two after.
Like 2 weeks after that.
2 weeks after you started dating?
February.
Oh, 2 weeks after dating? Because my sister was in town.
We became official January 23rd. And then, 3rd or 4th? 23rd. And then 2 weeks after I met her mom and her sister. It was like so quick. And then May, you met my family in May.
Yeah. It was fast.
It sounds like it was a good way.
Well, we're on track to get married for that fall.
From the moment you met her mom, you're like, yes, this is my husband.
I also love her mom.
He does.
I was gonna ask, like, how did the people in your life sort of like I don't know if I'll say influence, because maybe they didn't, but like, did they play a role in sort of how you thought about the relationship as well?
That's a great question because I had to
Friends or
learn
family?
very quickly.
Ooh,
Well,
community.
Yeah, I'll speak to family first because that was probably one of the biggest challenges for us, my family.
Oh yeah.
My parents, both my parents, having very strong opinions about what a husband should be or like what a potential partner should have, where they should be in life. As an example, and I think you'll be okay with me sharing this, like my mom was very uncomfortable with the fact that he was working part-time or that we had debt. You know, things like that. Finances to her were like, you cannot move ahead in life until all of your financial situation is like perfect. And her opinion meant a lot to me, so I was nervous at first, and I had to sit with God and talk to people about that, or the fact that at the time my income was a little bit higher than his, and I wrestled with that. Like, is this a make or break issue? Should we wait to get married because of that? And I quickly learned, like, I have to make these decisions for myself, and you learn quickly with your parents, like, I hear you, I respect you, I will consider what you have to say, but I'm also making an informed choice. Right, and I'd met with so many other couples that talked about they had very similar experiences and told me how they made it work, right? And I feel like talking to others who had similar experiences was like so helpful. Yeah. And then like with my dad, I don't have the greatest relationship with him, and so that was already difficult. Plus he had strong opinions about the fact that Tommy was a newer believer, that Tommy's field of work is not respected in my culture, and so there was just like a lot of stigma around law enforcement and
cultural stigma.
A lot of cultural stuff. So I had to be an advocate for our relationship, but it started with me coming to terms with the criticism I was getting from my family. My sister was down for it. She's like, yeah, he's great. I love him. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I think she was trying to be careful with my mom's opinion and whatever, but so anyway, I think with family, a lot of strong opinions came up about what they expect for me, and I had to weed through that and figure out what is truly wisdom from God and what is just like their own fears coming through. And I quickly realized a lot of it was their own fears. Yeah. Friends wise, like I think we got connected to the same church. Like Tommy started attending the church I was joining, so it was nice for our like mutual church community to get to know Tommy. And then I would meet with some people separate and be like, what do you think about him? And everyone thought he was so friendly and so kind and like so easy to talk to, so that was really affirming. And then like friends in my life started to meet him too. I think it was a bit difficult to have like a lot of time with friends, so I think people kind of met him once or twice, but they would hear things through me or like help me process what I was thinking about him. Yeah, but I do think that getting other people's opinions was helpful, but it can also be very harmful. So there's a sense of learning how to filter through what you hear. And I had to be confident and comfortable with him in my life, and that was my own process of determining, are we compatible? Like, what does God say about compatibility between man and wife? I was interested in marriage, he was interested in marriage, so we didn't want to waste each other's time.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And it sounded like the concerns that they had to were really about him as a person. It was like almost like
all the collateral stuff.
Yeah.
But to parents, sometimes
those are big stuff. Yeah.
But that was the tricky part with her dad too. It's like her dad, I could see, loved me as a person, but because I wasn't a doctor or an engineer or didn't have like a high-paying job, that like he didn't like me.
He was uncomfortable.
And he didn't think I was right for her. I think he had his own image of what he wanted for her, and that wasn't me. And because I looked different than what he wanted for her, he just didn't like me. I think even to this day, I would say he's
warming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about for you, friends and family?
I think I'll start with family. My dad is always very easygoing, so he doesn't really care, to be honest. So he was very lax, backseat, sort of about the whole thing. He's like, as long as she treats you right. And even though my dad's not a believer, he always said it's important that whoever you're marrying believes in the same thing. So he's like, make sure that like she's also a Christian like you. Make sure that she treats you right. So he had good morals and values to help me look through the lens of who I should be dating. And when he did meet her, he fell in love with her. And my sisters are very protective of me because we're kind of like a wolf pack. And so they...
How many sisters do you have?
2.
Yeah, they're a wolf pack. It's really cute.
Yeah, they're very careful to let people into our lives. But once you're in, like,
you're in.
We'll die for you. You know, so they're really careful to kind of vet her. So they've seen like some of the girls who've hurt me in the past. So they want to be sure with her because I was always coming home being like, Sabrina's awesome. And like, chill.
Yeah.
So I think they helped me also be more analytical of what I was doing on our dates and like ask the important questions and kind of vet you properly too, not just to be caught up in emotion. And I think friends were good job with that as well. Like my two best friends, Mark and Mike, kind of just were there for me and talked to me about like good advice on how to date. And Mike's been married for like 5 years, has a kid already. So him and I have walked. He was the first Christian actually to disciple me, so he knows a lot about me. So he's like, I think she'll be good for you. And like we talked a lot on the phone. I think Mark and I as well. He started to date his current wife at the same time that I started to date her.
Oh, cool.
So we like meet up and like compare notes. Both of them are very God-fearing men, so I feel like it was helpful to get God-fearing men's advice on how to approach a relationship and how to like look for warning signs about what's not good and what to look for that is good. So
that's really cool. It's really nice that you both had communities that you could trust
yeah.
to like talk about and like process things with. And I know you mentioned like with your family it was a little bit challenging. Was there ever a point where you both questioned the relationship, like you considered breaking up or ending things?
I don't think I ever questioned it, to be honest. I don't think you may have a different answer. Maybe.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but for me, I never questioned that.
Yeah. I think the pressure from my family got to me in a certain season. I was very uneasy. Like it was a lot of mental exhaustion of like, I really like him and I see a future, but I'm nervous about some things, and then my parents' opinion was like really loud in my head. So there was definitely a time where I was like, what's happening? I don't know if this is right.
And if I can add to that too.
Sure.
There'd be times when she'd be concerned about something, and we'd talk about it, just us two, and she'd be totally calmed down. Then she'd go speak to her mom.
Yeah, she's not calm anymore.
And her mom had this crazy ability to like get in her head.
Yeah.
And like,
which is something I needed to work on.
And nothing against her mom. Like I love her mom. Like
yeah.
Like I'm partially now only married to you because of her. Like I love her mom.
They get along better than me.
But so I think she did have a sort of hold on her. So every time she did speak to her opinion would always change. So we'd speak about things and she'd be okay, and then she'd go to her mom, and then she'd come back to me and she'd be like, "Oh, I'm nervous about this." I'm like, "Don't worry, it's okay." So I think it was a lot of like conversations about the same things. Sort of just like getting her to a place of acceptance on certain topics, especially finances.
Yeah, and I had to change a lot of my own beliefs about things because again, like you don't know how much your family influences what you believe about the world.
Yeah.
So I was unlearning a lot of stuff that I'm like, I didn't realize that this was such an issue. I can't think about money like this, you know? And starting to think of us as a team, like we're a unit, right? So at the end of the day, what's mine is yours. You know, we share our lives, we share our money, we share our burdens, we share everything. And I think I came from a culture where it's like, what can you give me? And that's not what marriage is about. So I was like reframing my whole thought process around marriage and family values and whatever else, to the point where I was ready to go ahead with Tommy even if my family was not there to support me. Till the day we got married, like some family members were not supportive of what we were doing. So it's just you kind of have to trust the Lord and seek wisdom of people who actually love you and have your best interests at heart, and sometimes that's not family. And that's kind of the process I had to go through.
Like there's some people in our lives who weren't family who are actually better supports us than actual family.
Yeah. And support doesn't mean they always agree, but they're like they know us enough to speak into a relationship. They're not just speaking from their biases.
Yeah.
That's right. And did you both do like any premarital counseling?
Like that? So we did our premarital with our pastor Marvin and his wife Kim.
Yeah, they walked us through a few different sessions, like communication, finances,
sexual
intimacy. We talked about family things,
maintaining friendships. Yeah.
It was helpful.
I was about to say it was. I mean, I'm sure it was great.
We had already covered like a lot of those topics, so I feel like
you covered it like talking with each other.
Yeah, and someone gave us a book. What was it 101 questions to ask before you get engaged or something? Oh, yeah. So we used to just go through these difficult questions, like.
In all honesty, COVID was like a strange thing because it was good and bad for so many people, but I think for our relationship it was actually so good for us because
it forced us to talk about
when you're in COVID, you can't go to a restaurant. You can't go have distractions around you. You can't go to like Wonderland.
Yeah.
So like
You're just talking.
So, like,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
but like you're in the car. Like you're in the car together and it's cold outside. So you can't even go walk by Lakeshore. So you're in the car together. You're looking at each other. And once the surface level material is gone, you have to go deep or get out.
Yeah.
So like we got deep really quick.
Yeah.
Because like let's say you're at Wonderland and it's like she asked me a tough question. I'm like, oh wow, look at that. You know, like there's ways to get out of it.
Yeah.
But during COVID, it was kind of like a pressure cooker. So if it was gonna work, it was gonna work, but really well. If it wasn't gonna work, we would know really quick if it wasn't gonna work.
Yeah.
And I think those moments actually helped us a lot because by the time we already got to the point of getting married and we had premarital, we had discussed everything already. Like it was
as
like
much as we knew.
we were like 5 years ahead of where we thought we should be. And I think it also made us feel like our relationship was like we've known each other longer
mature
than how we actually did. Like
Yeah.
we got married at the 2.5, 3 year mark, and I felt like I'd known her for 10 years because like we just covered so much material and we talked so much together about things.
But I think for the reason we could do that was because of that emotional maturity. Like both of us had gone through, you know, our own experiences. We'd done therapy. Like we were at a place where we were able to express and communicate what was going on inside. And I think being able to communicate is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
We're still working on our communication, but
being able to
having that foundation to articulate my needs, my wants, my feelings, that was like hugely helpful.
Yeah, because like, even in areas that we wronged each other, we were able to take a step back and be like, okay, how do I improve for next time? So her and I, something I love about her so much is like she's always striving for continuous improvement. So that's what I like about our relationship too, and our marriage is that we're two people who always strive to love each other better. And I think that's something that has carried us through from the start of our relationship to now. Is even during our relationship, we would like always text each other or say like, how can I serve you today? And it was just a new way of like asking like, hey, like first thing in the morning, like what are your needs today? How can I be there for you? How can I love you today? And so being able to like not only have the humility to ask that, because asking that also means that you have to sacrifice things that you want in order to love and serve that person.
Yeah.
So it's like having the humility to ask that, and then having the courage to follow through with it, and then being like consistent with it. I think that has helped us a lot. It's just like us being two people who are striving for continuous improvement and wanting to love each other better. Even now, like the show always jokes saying how, so like, because we're both very stubborn people. So like sometimes if we get into like an argument and I don't realize I like made a wrong. Either I apologize in the moment or I apologize after, but I always apologize. And I think it's something like that too, where it's like we're never like too mad at each other to not grow.
Yeah, that's the Lord. Our own flesh is not gonna want to.
Like surrender that way. Be humble. I guess kind of going back in the beginning, you mentioned that like since you've been married, it's been fun, but you've been learning a lot. I'm curious, like what are some of the things that you're learning about each other and maybe somewhat related, but if it's not, then we'll leave this for the next question. Was there any advice you got before that was helpful, but that has been helpful in the 6 months you've been married?
Good question.
Like advice before we got married that helps us in marriage.
Yes. Or even after marriage, but like anything that has actually been helpful in the time you've been married.
Yeah, like I think the topic around that everything is shared and that you're a team has been really helpful. Like we even say like when there's an issue, like it's us versus the problem, not the problem like in between us.
Or like you versus me or me versus you.
Yeah. So I think the whole mindset around a team, like people really gave us that wisdom. That's been really helpful, I think. Obviously we struggle with that sometimes. It's easy to be like me, but so the team part, the financial part around everything being shared was a big learning curve for me. I think any other wisdom that like...
Two things. I think one is never go to bed angry. And I think it doesn't mean that like you have to be 100% perfect when you go to bed. It just means address the problem. So like something that I think we're very good at is like before we go to bed, if there is a problem, we always address it.
Or we'll say, you know, maybe I'm not in the best mood to talk about it right now, but let's talk about it at this time.
But it's addressed.
It's addressed,
Yeah. So
don't
it's
leave
so
it.
it's not just lingering, right? Then you think about it, you ruminate on it. And
Yeah, we
like,
try to bring it up
Yeah.
with each other. Yeah.
And I think second thing, people in our small group, Victor and Tracy, they always say like it's good to have like a family planning time, in the sense of like
Meeting. Yeah.
like a meeting, so you can schedule out like your friend plans, you can schedule your finances, like schedule a time during your week to just talk about you guys, like future planning. I think that's been
Yeah,
helpful
we did
for
a
us.
marriage conference actually
Yeah.
in March, and that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice to do a conference at the beginning of our marriage to
3
like
months in.
lay some foundation.
4 or 5
Mhm.
4 months.
Yeah.
What does a family planning meeting look like?
Like kind of,
Family planning probably sounds like children, but
oh no, like future planning. Sorry.
Oh, no. I imagine
Like a
it's
family
more
meeting.
like finance, like you guys
Yeah.
discuss
Yeah.
finances, and I don't know.
We're gonna
that's
have
so
one
curious.
tomorrow.
Like, what do you discuss at
Yeah.
the
yeah, scheduling is chores.
Right now, our flight for Croatia.
Yeah, we're trying to plan a trip, so we might do some like planning because life gets so crazy.
Yeah.
And I think we haven't yet done this, but I think we want to be intentional with integrating like a check-in as part of that meeting of like, oh, that too. Yeah, like a check-in of how are things going in the relationship? Like, what can I do? How can I serve
Yeah.
you better? Like, what's something that happened this week that we need to debrief? You know, like making time to check in intentionally. And then, yeah, we've tried to schedule in bi-weekly date nights. That was another tip that was given to us. Like, make sure you hold time for just you two.
Yeah.
Because
Because
everything
life is
else
so
will
busy.
creep in.
Yeah. I noticed too, our calendars are just like booked completely, and so if you don't book a time
Yeah,
intentionally together, you just lose that time.
But and I've learned actually to stop booking things so much. He's helped me with that. So you're
It's
talking
like
about what have we
blocking your
learned?
calendar.
Well, like
Tommy has taught me the value of like not booking things because I used
Oh.
to just like book all my weekends, all my evenings, and then I realized I will never get time with him if I do that. And number two, I'm burnt out all the time. And
Yeah.
Tommy's really good at like just not doing anything or just like
Just like no.
I feel like men in general can be good at that. But,
no, but I
like,
feel like
resting, you're good at resting.
I think like God has really given me a unique perspective on life, and I think for me, I feel like there's so much happening around us constantly. If it's easy to get caught up in it, so I picture it as like a fast running stream. If you're like in the stream and you're going with it, it's easy to fall in and just go with it, and you can't stop yourself. You're just kind of flowing until you stop being dead, right? But like to actually like take a step back and admire the stream and be like, this is what's around me. I'm gonna take a step back. I'm gonna enjoy this moment. Like stop and smell the roses, kind of thing, right? Because life is so short. You know, like you could go tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So being able to say that, like, you know, like I spent time with her today, or like I took time to decompress from my work day. I didn't just plan a friend hangout right after I finished work, and that took away from us, right? Or cause, like it's so important for us to be able to like spend time together, to be intimate, to go on like date nights, to be able to do all these things. And like she said, if you just pack your calendar, like, say goodbye to your spouse, because that time that you could be spent couple building and relationship building is gone, right? And it's like any sport or activity. The more reps you do, the better you get at it. So in a relationship, like in a marriage, if you don't put in the reps and put in the work and being there and working on your communication, that
that's
skill
helped us.
deteriorates. So finding time to just chill and relax, and
Yeah.
something I tell her
booking
too
things.
is like I'm also a very slow paced kind of guy. Like
Yeah.
I don't like to rush. So when things happen, they happen. And like for me, it's like I very much value nights where I can just sit on the couch and just do nothing. Because life has so many moments where it can be busy. So let life be busy when it has to be busy, but enjoy the moments when you can take it slow. You know?
So I've learned that from him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tommy has taught me a lot in life. That's one of the things.
That's so nice. I'm having a lot of intentionality.
Yeah.
And like being intentional about planning, intentional about spending time together, intentional about like the communication and making sure that
Yeah.
you're both good.
Yeah, and it takes two people to do that, right? Because I think sometimes people are in relationships where it's like one of them's very intentional and the other is not.
Yeah.
So I feel like we made a good choice. But making the choice is an important one. But yeah, that was a big part of why I was comfortable with Tommy. It's like I know that he's gonna pursue me even in marriage. Yeah.
Is there anything you wish you knew before getting married?
Something that I've learned about her in marriage that I didn't see in relationship, that like it's like I guess when you frame the question something you wish you knew, it sounds negative sometimes because like you know like as if I knew this thing,
It
I would
be the
not
difference.
pursue her. But I just wish I knew this thing because it's cute. Like, I love it. Like, she's very clingy.
Yeah.
And,
Very clingy?
yeah.
Ah.
But I didn't, like,
I also didn't know this.
before. Like, zero. Like, okay, like, she would still, like, love me and, like, be, like near to me and say that she misses me. But, like, if I'm at home and she has a work day, nothing gets done. She's like,
Just want to be around you. Oh, that's so cute. I guess I'll be fair, which I also realized I asked more like, what is something that has surprised you?
Okay.
The clinginess.
Yeah.
In a good way, though.
Yeah.
In a very good way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
how
very
much you
clingy.
appreciate, like, quality time and physical closeness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're also goofy. Like we spend a lot of time goofing around. Yeah.
Half of our time is, like, baby language.
Yeah. We're just, like, annoying each other.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. We both really love cuddles, so we're always cuddling.
Yeah.
Stuff that you can't really see or know, like, beforehand, right? And we were trying to be very careful with our physical closeness before marriage too. So there's freedom in it now, which is nice.
Yeah.
What else surprised me? I think how much Tommy needs rest as well is something I've learned. It's a good thing. It's a humbling thing. But I don't think I knew because I wouldn't see you when you're resting. You would rest at home or away doing other things. So I was just like, oh, Tommy's home. But now I can see, like, what he does when he rests, how he rests, how much he rests. So I've definitely gained a better appreciation, and I can see when he's not well rested and how that really affects him.
Burns me out.
Yeah, and it affects us and it affects your day-to-day stuff. So like right now he's tired, but because he didn't sleep enough. So like I'm learning what he needs that I didn't know before as much. And I'm also learning like what I need and how to express that to him in ways that I didn't know, because you don't live together, so we didn't live together, so we're learning our habits, hobbies,
Where things do.
where we want to put things, cleanliness.
Strong opinions about things you never knew you cared about.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the couch, the place under the couch is that like.
Well, it's funny because even during our engagement, I didn't realize how passionate I was about things that I never knew about before, like choosing a photographer. Right? And I'm like, no, there's like a yellow tint on all these photos. Like, we can't have this.
That was like me.
And I'm like, when did I have this opinion? Like, when did I get it? Or like, so many of those things where it's like, why do I care so much about this? It's like, you're so opinionated on certain things.
Yeah.
Right? But,
Like we surprised ourselves.
Yeah. During engagement, a lot came out during engagement.
I've heard people say that like wedding planning.
Wedding planning
brings
stressful.
out a lot.
Yeah, it's stressful.
It's horrible.
I'm glad that we had each other because both of us are like planners and we're fairly organized people.
Yeah.
I call myself selective organized because there's things I'm very organized in, things I'm very messy in. But I think in terms of like wedding planning, like both of us were pretty on it, and like I'm thankful I had her.
Spreadsheets.
Yeah, spreadsheets were our key and our friend.
But it created a lot of conflict, so we had to work through stuff.
Yeah, we argued a lot.
A lot of arguing, but I'm so glad because we learned very quickly. We either work through this and like mature, or we're just gonna be upset at each other all the time. And we were tired and cranky, and we had our full-time jobs and all sorts of things. So
wedding planning can be its own job.
But it's like it can be a make or break. Like you really have to. You either stick it out together and you work through it, or you break. That was good. Yeah, and we had a shorter engagement, like 9 months. Yeah.
Okay.
That was good for us. Yeah.
Oh.
December to September.
December 1st.
Okay.
December.
Yeah.
Tommy knows all the dates. It's like the January's a 4th, January 23rd we met, November 13th. Like, it's really cool. Okay, second to last question. It's like 50 years from now, you're looking back on your marriage. What do you hope characterizes it?
Characterizes our marriage.
Lots of babies.
Tommy would love that.
What characterizes our marriage?
Like looking back.
I think 2 things. Growing in our love and dependence on God. Actually 3 things. Growing our love and dependence on God. It's going to be 10. Continued servitude for our community. So like looking back on our lives in 50 years, I'd love to see how we have like been there for our community and have, because both of us are passionate for missions and evangelism. So being able to look back and see that our life was streaked by just being there, engaging with the people of the world, telling them about Jesus. And 3, unfailing love and want to serve each other better. And like a sacrificial love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would ditto those things.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll also add like joy. Like I want to be able to look back and say like we enjoyed life.
Yeah.
You know, it
To the
doesn't mean
fullest.
it's going to be an easy life, but we were able to still enjoy it. Yeah, and enjoy one another and enjoy the Lord and
Yeah.
looking back at good memories.
Yeah. And kids.
Yeah, God willing.
And our chicken farm.
Tom wants a chicken farm.
A chicken farm?
Yeah.
If he could have his way, we would be living on a farm.
I was about to say, like,
far
interval.
away, you know, like
2, 3
out.
dogs.
Oh,
Okay.
100 chickens.
Okay, I want to hear the future. So, how many children?
Like 5 kids.
Okay.
Football team.
It's a very full house.
Custom made house.
Okay.
But he married a city girl, so we're kind of like.
Yeah, we'll be in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
But I do want chickens one day.
The chickens are coming.
How about
Chickens
this?
are coming.
We'll have baby chicken, baby chicken, baby chicken.
So this is where you learn sacrifice.
Yeah.
Example.
Give up the chicken, let go of the baby.
There's things we just
It's
are
funny.
like so different on. Like that's
Yeah.
one. Like I would hate to live on a farm. So
For me, like I guess growing up, like I was always like getting dirty. Like I would play in the mud and like I was like typical boy, right? And I think for me, like being able to be outdoors in the like not the city,
Yeah.
just being like more secluded and having your own property and like working with your hands and building a fence and like building like cutting wood for fire and like just very basic life skills.
Yeah.
Like I like the simplicity of life. I think technology and the fast pacedness of the city has made life very detached. And I feel like when you're out there in the suburbs or even like in the farm country, you're kind of just rooted back into the simple things of life. And I feel like nowadays there's so many distractions. And I always want to get away from distraction and get back to like what's like simple and good and but
we'll get back
yeah,
to
you're right, yeah.
We'll
50
get back
years from
to-
now, we'll interview you.
Yes, yes.
See the city
On the
in the
chicken
farm.
farm.
Yeah, on the chicken farm with the chickens running around.
and we can all hold one chicken.
Yeah. The chicken will be a special
Yes.
guest. Featuring. Okay, last question.
Sure.
How would you describe your relationship in one word?
Oh,
One word.
no, this is a hard one. Can I skip this question?
Skip the
Okay,
last
that's
question.
I gotta think. I have to think.
One sacrificial. I feel like we have like been since day one, like serving each other and sacrificing things that we want for the other, and I see that continuing for us.
Mm-hmm. The word that comes to mind for me is rich. Yeah. Like I feel like our
Rich are you, Riz?
no, not not money rich. You know when you say something
Yeah, it's
that's
like full.
rich with
Yeah.
full. Maybe full is a better word. Yeah.
Bountiful.
Just like there, it's just so like
Plentiful.
full.
Mm.
I'm trying to think of why that came to my mind. Yeah, maybe like feeling like, you know, there's love, there's
Satisfied.
joy, there's contentment, there's like God is in our lives,
His promise.
we love one another, like, and I know that we're still newlyweds and people talk about like, you know, things can change and that's fine, but like right now and God willing forever, like we have a good foundation and we're committed in our vows and in our day-to-day to work hard at what we have. And yeah, I feel like there's a richness to what we have because I've seen a lot of broken relationships. My parents are divorced. Like there's a lot of chaos in the world, and like there are people that are together that you can see that they're like it's either just convenient or their love for one another is not really showing, or like their love for God is not there and that really impacts them. So I just feel very blessed that like there's so many beautiful components to our marriage. Yeah.
Oh, so cute. I want to just like freeze the frame and just stop there. Just cut it right there. Cut.
So
So that was Sabrina and Tommy's story. I hope you were blessed by it, like I know I most definitely was. I was especially encouraged and inspired by how they mentioned that they would often text each other when they were dating to see how they can serve the other person better. That is not something I've heard before. And in fact, sometimes I wonder with myself when I hear people talk about the challenges in their dating, about the focus on the self, like thinking about what do I want and how can I serve myself better and how can this person help me towards my own goals and my own desires. And so hearing the perspective of how can I serve the other person, knowing that when it's marriage, when there's a more serious commitment, it really has to be built on that mentality or that mindset of how can I be there for this other person. And I think that also comes from knowing that both people in the relationship are looking to God. And I really liked when Tommy mentioned that about Sabrina and how he could trust in his relationship with her because he had observed her relationship with God. I think knowing that God is present and having that awareness of his presence in the relationship gives the comfort to be able to serve the other person in a way that is truly representative of the kind of love that God has for each one of us. And so I was really encouraged by that, not just to think about how to serve other people better in my relationships, but to be more conscious or aware of how God's love can sort of play out to the people around me. So I hope you're really encouraged by that, and I will challenge you to think about the relationships that you're in. Maybe try asking the person that you're in a relationship with how you can serve them better today. And even if you're not in a relationship, with your friends, with your family, with any other relationship in your life, think about ways that you could serve the other person better and maybe have sort of the same kind of intentional, fulfilling relationship that I think Sabrina and Tommy characterize. So that was it for today. I hope to see you at the next episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
Say like, oh, 50-50, you give half, get half. So like if I wash the dishes, she cleans the washroom or something. What was advised and what is shown is 100. So it's not, oh, you do this for me. It's not like a give to receive, but it's give to give,